for Gregory.
Yeah, it's showing off a couple of enhanced hammers. Not going to be quite as relevant in this matchup, given that Volcanion only plays, fire energy, and 15 of them as well.
Yeah, we call that trade fodder.
Yeah, pretty much. Something you can throw away at any time. We'll have to see what he's going to start with here as well. If he wants to leave something like a Wimpod in the active, probably not a priority to go into Golisopod in this matchup at all. I think it's going to be a quad Zoroark day.
Yeah, maybe that's just what you have to do when you see that Kiawe. Just it's that sacrificial Wimpod. Don't wimp out. Just take one for the team.
And the Mew EX that he has as well in that Golisopod deck, potentially not quite as good in this matchup, given it has only 120 HP and is 2 prizes that can just easily be taken even by a Volcanion EX's attack.
Yeah, you don't want to be giving up those early knockouts, especially EX or GX knockout. You want to make Corey have to work for it, make him have to have that choice band, the extra energies with the steam up in order to hit those big knockouts on Zoroark GX.
It looks like the players are just about to get started. We're going to see what they're both going to start with, and here we go to the prizes. So if anything's relevance prize, that's a Mew EX, which he probably doesn't want to see in this matchup anyway.
That's a great prize for him, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything too relevant in there. Maybe the Guzma could be a problem later if he's relying on it, but otherwise, yeah, not too bad.
Over on Corey's side, we see 2 fire energy, 3 fire energy, and a super rod, but he does have 15, so he probably plans on at least 2 or 3 of those being prized.
It does mean he has Ho-Ohs, and he does have Kiawe's live, so he's going to be looking for that turn 1 Kiawe onto a Ho-Oh, and he does start with the Ho-Oh as well. So if you can get Ultra Ball and get a Lele, get an out to that Kiawe, or just have it in his hand like he does.
Yeah, that's what happens when you give this deck mulligans. He's going to find that Kiawe and doesn't even have to open up that bench space. That means that doesn't have to worry about playing into that Mind Jack Zoroark that you were speaking about. And of course, these max elixirs, when you play 15 fire energy, you're probably going to find one off the top 6.
It's something that, obviously the better players, they will play out their hand. They'll do everything they can do before they play that Kiawe, though. So he is accelerating energy onto the bench to Volcanion, recognizing that it's good to have a secondary attacker, just in case some shenanigans come out and this Ho-Oh's put under a bit of pressure.
That's right, and 6 energy coming down onto play in the opening turn. That's exactly what Corey wants. His hand, though, after this is a little awkward. I think I saw 3 Sycamores all paired up next to each other, so we could see him struggling to draw in the late game if he has to use one of those.
Yeah, it happens more often than you think, where you just have 3 of your key supporters or 3 of the same supporters just all in the same hand, and you just have to say, yeah, I just have to get rid of them and start going and just doing what I can.
Yeah, just hope that this board state will get you the rest of the way. And so far, it looks pretty intimidating. Honestly, if I'm Greg, I'm not excited to see this.
So all these energy from Kiawe do actually have to go into one Pokemon. So you'd assume he's going to select the Ho-Oh and just put them all on there and say, Greg, it's your turn. What are you going to do? And what does Greg do?
Yeah, I mean, this isn't something that you want to see. I know a lot of players, they will use their Tapu Lele if they feel pressured, getting energy drive down early and trying to get some pressure on that Ho-Oh. I don't know if Greg's going to have the resources to do that, though. It usually will take a Floatstone.
I mean, we do see the Ultra Ball. We do see a DCE, so Tapu Koko option is live if he isn't going to go for that Bridget straight away.
Right.
Or if he is able to retreat that Zoroark into that Tapu Koko and apply a little bit of pressure. Don't see a choice band, so 40 damage isn't so great right now compared to the 100 you could be dealing. But yeah, so it looks like he's eyeing up that Tapu Koko.
Yeah, he understands how important that is. Unfortunately, Corey was able to get this set up with only 1 Pokemon on his bench, so spread damage not going to be too impactful, and he might really need Choice Band if he's going to get some nice damage onto this Ho-Oh.
Yeah, I think a lot of people look at the Ho-Oh and just think of the attack that it can do with 180 damage, it's Phoenix Burn, but it actually does have a first attack just for 3 energy that could deal 50 damage, and with a buff from Steam Up, that's 80. That's enough to knock out any basic Pokemon that people are typically playing at the moment, Zorua or that Wimpod.
Yeah, they can
even
definitely
a Tapu Koko with another Steam Up. So nothing is safe from this Ho-Oh right now, and he doesn't even have to use his Phoenix Burn attack.
Yeah, and Greg just has to attach to his Koko and doesn't have a way to get out of the active spot, so just going to pass over to Corey, and Corey now, he's got some awkward decisions to make. He also has that Tapu Lele in hand if he wants to go and grab an N, but if not, we're going to see all of these cards hit the discard pile.
Yeah, he's just shuffling through his Sycamores saying, oh, do I need these? Should I keep them for late game?
Yeah.
Should I give an N? I mean, he doesn't know what Greg has. Opts to play a Choice Band on the bench to Volcanion. EX, probably preempting that later on maybe that's going to have to knock out a Zoroark GX. He shows off all his Sycamores as he Sycamores them away.
That is one expensive hand that he just threw away.
Hopefully into something better. Maybe even a couple of Pokemon, maybe another Volcanion EX.
Yeah, it looks like he was able to find that Volcanion EX along with a Turtonator. Max Elixir is going to be able to give him some extra energies onto the board, so really what he wanted to find there. Unfortunate that he had to give away all those Sycamores, but it paid off.
And we talk about Ho-Oh GX as being the main attacker in this deck, but Turtonator is also quite good, not just for its Nitro Tank GX that can get all your energy back onto your Pokemon, but its Bright Flame attack deals 160 damage, and buffed with 2 Steam Up abilities. That's enough to knock out a Zoroark.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll see that come into play at some point. The one Volcanion and a Choice Band also able to do it, so plenty of ways for Corey to hit the numbers, and it looks like he's delegating his resources beautifully, even going to get that 30 damage extra onto the Ho, so he doesn't have to use that attack for 180. Doesn't have to he doesn't have to worry. He can just use Sacred Fire.
Yeah. Of course, the limitation with Phoenix Burn is that you can't use Phoenix Burn again that next turn.
Right.
A little different to Buzzwole GX, which when you use a large attack with Buzzwole, that Knuckle Impact, it actually can't attack at all next turn. Ho-Oh can deal its Phoenix Burn and then just keep doing Sacred Fire.
Yeah.
Look like he gets the Choice Band, Greg, on that Tapu Koko, so that will be 100 damage coming down onto the Ho-Oh once he does choose to attack, and then 20 spread onto the rest, which softens him up, as we said, for those Zoroark GXs to come in and ride his beating with the Choice Band. It's really the only way that Golisopod Zoroark can kind of get back in this match, I think.
Yeah, I think Greg was very fortunate that his Tapu Koko didn't fall in the previous turn, and we saw that Corey, he played down a few extra Pokemon, so now the spread damage does become pretty relevant. The Choice Band was a fantastic draw, enables 100 damage to come down onto this Ho-Oh, so we can really start seeing all that damage add up, but really just depends on now if Greg can find himself some Zorarks. He needs to continue to get some draw going.
Yeah, it doesn't really look like he's found any way to get them. I mean, the Puzzle of Time could get him the Ultra Ball in the discard pile, but you're not really wanting to play Puzzle of Time this early on in the game, and for something as menial as just an Ultra Ball, really.
Yeah, I mean, those Puzzle of Time, that's how you get back your Tapu Koko and that Choice Band. If you wanted to have an answer to this Ho-Oh, that's inevitably going to knock out your Tapu Koko. So a little bit awkward for him, but he's going to have to do it. Just needs to get some draw power going.
He's got to take 2 cards. You can't just take the Ultra Ball.
I'll take this and something I could throw away with Ultra Ball.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he could play the Zorua, though.
That's true.
The ability to trade 3 times is always nice.
Yeah, it doesn't need that grass energy either. We're not going to see Golisopod in this matchup, most likely.
I think some players have played it right at the end of games to sweep with that Crossing Cut GX and a Choice Band onto a Volcanion, because it can deal that 180. But yeah, typically not something you want to see, certainly early on in the game.
That's right.
Where it's just a free 2 prizes.
We do see the Zoroark coming down, and this is pretty interesting. Does he even want to trade?
Yeah, he chooses to pass. I mean, that double colorless energy and the Sycamore, they're great cards to have. Yeah, what are you going to draw off that that's going to be any better?
This sets up perfectly for Zoroark to come in and ride his beating, knock out this Ho-Oh on the following turn. So pretty good hand for Greg to hold on to. And it also gives Corey a little bit of information as well. If you're going to hold on to 2 cards and not even trade, I know your hand's good. Does this mean that I'm going to have to potentially end here?
Yeah, but on the flip side, there's only 2 cards. I mean, how good can they be? You could end him into 6 that are even better. So, yeah, it's a difficult call with that one.
Yeah, especially when you're playing 3 ends in a deck that takes knockouts fairly early. Do you just want to use the ends and just get them out of your deck, honestly? Because you don't want to see these when you're drawing. You only have 2 prize cards left.
Yeah, definitely. Looks like he's holding the Oranguru there, Corey. Going to hold the Oranguru and not play it down. I wonder if that's because he knows that a Mind Jack is a potential option. He wants to make sure his bench is limited. Looks like a retreat from the Ho-Oh there with a switch and putting out the Turtonator into the active spot.
Yeah, it's a great way to protect his Ho-Oh. He doesn't have to worry about Ritus beating unless, of course, it's along with a Guzma. With a 2-card hand, I don't think Greg held on to Guzma, so it's probably safe to say that this Ho-Oh can survive another turn.
Yeah, definitely. It's a pretty good read from Corey there. And I'm assuming he'll be using the Bright Flame to knock out the Tapu Koko and saying to Greg, come back with me, attack me with that Rider's beating, and don't knock me out.
He'll definitely take a turn off in order to knock out a Tapu Koko.
Oh, 2 double colorless and a Professor Sycamore in hand is not really what you want to see.
Yeah, this is always an awkward spot. Of course, you don't want to trade here now either. You could just draw even more cards you don't want to throw away.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, probably just going to lose that double colorless, and that means that he only has one left in his deck.
Yeah, a little bit awkward, but hopefully 2 puzzles to work with as well there, though, to get them back.
Yep, also drawing in some pretty awkward cards in this matchup. Max Potion is not going to come into play. Most of the time, if you're getting attacked, you're getting knocked out, and Ace of Roll is another one of those cards, too.
Yeah, so probably not the best start that he wanted to see. I mean, here you'd really like to have that rescue stretcher or that double puzzle to get back that Tapu Koko and potentially start applying more pressure before you can just sweep up with those Zoroark GXs. But yeah, I mean, he's working with what he has. He's doing the best he can. And he will get quite a lot of damage down on this Turtonator GX, which again cannot be healed off because there are no healing options in this Ho-Oh Volcanion build that we see here.
Yep, it just goes.
Yeah.
Now we see the Tapu Lele. It's coming down. Grab is going to preemptively grab himself an N, and it's not like he can play it this turn. He's already used his supporter, so it's pretty interesting to see the Lele coming down this early.
I'd assume it's something to do with buffing the Rider's beating attack.
Yeah.
Maybe that extra 20 is something he's really looking for, to be able to deal 100 damage instead of that 80. Does put Turtonator onto a 90 HP, which means it can be knocked out by, it's a little bit softer, a little bit easier to knock out by other Pokemon, but yeah, a little bit of an awkward spot for Greg, and he's just going to deal 100 damage with Rider's beating.
Yeah, and this definitely opens up a big window here for Corey. If he were able to knock out this Zoroark with his Ho-Oh, I feel like he'd be in a dominant position. We'll just see if his cards match up. It doesn't look like he has much, though. Just an N, a few N, and a Turtonator. And maybe just going to, use this Fire Energy now and get some extra damage and probably play the N. Try to find a few more cards.
Yeah, I don't think the N is a bad play here. Greg already has a lot of cards in his hand. And you're pretty much just ending him into the same amount of cards. But you're putting yourself ahead as well. It's one of those win more situations.
Yeah, and this is just the awkward spot of playing N in a deck that goes so aggressive. He's only going to get himself 4 cards, and he's trying to keep his foot on the gas, but I don't know if 4 cards is going to get you there.
Yeah, I mean, out of those 4 cards, though, he's definitely looking for a switch or even a Float Stone to get that Turtonator out of the active spot and KO that Zoroark GX.
And look at that, right on cue, the Float Stone comes down, and that means that Ho is going to have a knockout here potentially.
Another energy on the Turtonator, probably preparing it for a Bright Flame. I doubt we'll see a Shell Trap out of it, although that is quite a good play against different decks.
Yeah, especially against a bunch of Golisopod variants. When you Shell Trap into them, it's really awkward for them to first impression.
Yeah. And that is a knockout with that 1 Steam Up, 210 damage, right onto that Zoroark GX, and then Corey will go down to 2 prizes. Greg, unfortunately for him, still on 6.
Yeah, and just look at the way that this board is set up for Corey. All he really needs is energy and Guzma, at least 1 Steam Up, and he can just take out one of these Tapu Lele GX, and that's going to be the game. Yeah,
and that's the power of, I guess, turn 1 Kiawe right there. If you can't respond to it straight away with that Tapu Koko, what can you do as a Golisopod Zoroark player? You have no real options to one-hit KO back. Golisopod likes to be one of those 2-hit decks with that durability, but when you're weak to fire, you can't really afford to be a 2-hit deck against, Volcanion.
That's right. And we do see a Wimpod coming down now. As you were talking about earlier, this means that he could potentially set up for a crossing cut, but I don't know if you want to do that if you see all these fire energies that can immediately knock you right back out, but also could potentially buff up this Riotous Beating as well.
Yeah, it's certainly a way you want to end a game against Volcanion, not a way you want to start it, unfortunately. If Greg, though, is able to find a double colorless energy this turn, although he may only have 1 left, he will be able to get a knockout on that Ho-Oh GX and, maybe limit Corey a little bit, but I feel like Corey's found so much momentum so far, so many energy on the board. That Turtonator's ready to come in, just needs 1 energy, it can deal 160. Couple of Steam Ups, and that's enough to just knock out a clean Zoroark GX.
Yeah, and this N would be pretty great from Greg. He's able to get Corey down to 2 cards, but of course Corey does have that Oranguru sitting on the bench. That means that he can probably fill his hand right back up to the cards that he needs. A lot of his cards are playable as soon as he sees them with max elixirs and a bunch of tools and energy cards. If he draws extra energy cards, he can just use his Steam Up, so many cards are live when he draws such a low handoff N.
Yeah, he probably
look
not.
At the hand he has. He has Fire Energy Guzma.
Yeah.
That is exactly what you want to see if you're just trying to target down a Tapu Lele to finish this game.
There's a Mind Jack comes out. That Zoroark able to be just switching itself into the active with its stand-in ability. It's quite nice. It means you don't need the Float Stone to be able to retreat.
Right.
But yeah, Corey preemptively putting it to the active spot a Pokemon he perhaps isn't going to be attacking with, just so he can Guzma and get out the attacking Pokemon.
Yeah, we might even see him use this Tapu Lele and grab nothing just to thin his hand out a little bit. He could play an energy down onto his Turtonator or use Steam Up. I assume you would play it first so that you could draw a Choice Band. That would be another live draw. Use the Guzma, and then you just draw 3 cards, and there's so many cards that can finish the game out for you at that point. Any energy or Choice Band would be game.
Yeah, it doesn't sound so great when you say he can fill his hand to 3 cards, but you know, you don't really need that many pieces.
Big old hand of 3.
Yeah, when you're just searching for Fire Energy or Choice Band, you know, that's just 1 card, and you can get there with 3, especially when you've, I mean, pardon the pun, but burnt through your deck already, and you have such a small deck size.
That's right. It looks like he is going to go for this play here. It's always awkward to play Tapu Lele and just not use one of the best abilities in the game.
Yeah, you feel like you're not playing correctly, do you?
I don't want it. I don't like supporter cards. Instead, I've got the one I already want, but it is nice to look through your deck and just make sure, all right, what are my counts? What's the potential? Actually going to grab the Sycamore, so hedging his bets here a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it does mean that if he does play the Sycamore, he probably won't be able to win this turn, just because he'll get a 1-prize knockout on the Zoroark, if he is able to retreat the Volcanion. Finds a Floatstone, I believe.
Yeah, that Floatstone means that he could attach this to the Volcanion and then retreat and use his Turtonator GX to knock out the Zoroark, bringing him down to 1 prize. And then he would need this Volcanion EX to take him the rest of the way, which is definitely possible, but a little more awkward now that it has a Floatstone on it.
I mean, it's certainly possible now that there's Wimpods in play as well, though. If you're down to 1 prize and you see a 70 HP Wimpod, that's a pretty easy prize that you can take.
Yeah.
A little bit awkward if he does attack with the Turtonator GX, because with that Bright Flame, it does discard 2 Fire Energy, so it's a little bit stuck in that spot, not able to really do much. But if he's not having pressure applied to him, he can always Nitro Tank GX.
That's true. Yeah, he could get all those energies right back into play. And look at that hand. He's got so many Guzmas. He's definitely ready to end a game next turn. Just now it's up to Greg now to end him right back.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he has that immediate option. I don't see an N in his hand. I see a few, unfortunately, enhanced hammers. Maybe a Zoroark GX. An Evo Soda. Ultra Ball could get him Lele. But yeah, either way, it's a bit awkward. Anything he sends out is potentially prone to just being knocked out.
Right, and I think Greg understands this. He doesn't know what exactly to do here. He does draw another Guzma. It's kind of an awkward draw. Already has one, and he really needs to limit what Corey has at this point. It's not what Greg's doing. It's what Corey is not doing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yes, Corey has played quite a few Floatstones already, so there is the potential for that. There used to be the potential to play things like a catcher effect and stall things in the active spot while you yourself were able to get set up. But now that we have decks that run so many Guzma, I mean, this, Turbo Kiawe deck runs so many Guzma as well that you can't really stall anything in the active. It can just switch out with a supporter.
Right, and that engine really is all on the Oranguru. If you can just keep drawing, you're going to find those supporter cards, especially when your deck is built to just burn through. He look at his discard pile as he sifts through it. He's probably already played 30 cards.
Yeah, not many left to draw. And he's probably maximized it so that they are the cards he wants to draw as well.
Right.
We just see a Golisopod GX come down. I'm not sure what he's aiming for here, potentially a first impression or just getting cards out of his deck. Either way, if that Wimpod goes down, the game is ended, so it doesn't matter if it's a Golisopod GX that goes down instead.
Yeah, when there's 1 prize left, and just do whatever you have to do.
Yeah, certainly. I think he's running out of energy a little bit here. That's the issue. We saw quite a few hit the discard pile just from Pokemon being knocked out, but also that awkward Sycamore discard that he had to sort of choose, do I trade here, do I Sycamore, and he just had to get rid of a double colorless energy.
Yeah, and we see him find grass energy, but I believe you're right. I think he only has 1 double colorless energy left in his deck, and it's going to be awkward to find that when you only have 1 trade available to you, and he just used it to find that grass.
Yeah, I guess with Golisopod Zoroark, you're so used to having that turn 1 Bridget into so many different Pokemon, but when you don't have Golisopod as an option, it's just really awkward.
Yep. It looks like we're just going to see Greg play this Guzma, and that means that he's not going to get any cards out of Corey's hand. And I think Corey's holding the game. He's got a bunch of Guzma and, of course, an energy card. So
which is enough
be able
for
to just bring it out. Yeah.
Yeah, shows them both straight away and says, let's go on to game 2.
I'll take that Wind Pod.
So I wonder how this game 2 is going to be different, given that Volcanion is not going to be going first.
Right.
It means that Golisopod Zoroark, Greg, he gets one turn to set up before that Kiawe Ho-Oh comes down.
Right.
So what do you think he's looking to do?
Well, there's a lot of attackers that he can use on the second turn, which I think would be great for him. Greg, that is. He could use the Tapu Koko, and if he has a choice band, he's doing 100 into those Ho-Ohs. Also, just Tapu Lele's Energy Drive or a Riotous Beating, just something to put a little bit of pressure on that Ho-Oh, and don't let it dictate how this game is going to play. You can't let him get 2 or 3 hits with that Ho-Oh. Just try to limit it to 1.
Yeah, it's certainly scary when you're as a Volcanion player going second and you Kiawe, and you have this little Tapu Koko that's just saying, I can deal 100 damage straight back to you.
Right.
And you're going to have to use one of your large attacks like, what was it, Sacred Fire, his first attack, with a couple of steam ups to be able to knock me out, or Phoenix Burn for 160.
Right, and all just for 1 prize. It doesn't seem worth it, but that's what you have to do in this matchup. Little Tapu Koko promo, it puts in a lot of work.
Yeah, it's the ultimate tech card. I don't know why everyone isn't playing it. But yeah, we're going to have to see if Greg... I mean, he avoided playing the Wimpods that game. I think that's probably a smart choice, just because they're so easy to knock out. But we'll have to see if he maybe changes his strategy a little bit, knowing how much pressure this Volcanion deck can put on so quickly. Or should I say Turbo Ho-Oh, Turbo Kiawe deck?
Whatever this concoction is from Corey.
One card we don't typically see in a lot of lists that is in this Turbo Kiawe deck is that Nest Ball.
Right.
And I guess you can play it when you're in a deck that's all basics and you're happy for them to hit the field just whenever.
Yeah, I mean, when you're playing a deck that doesn't have cards like Bridget, you have to find a way to search out those Pokemon, especially if you start a Pokemon you don't want to Kiawe to, like I believe Corey is about to with his Tapu Lele. You could use that Nest Ball to go and find a Pokemon like Ho-Oh and then use that Kiawe and not put 4 energies onto a energy drive.
So prize card now, 2 Guzma. It's
not great.
Not terrible, but not fantastic. 2 Guzma as well on Volcanion's side.
2 Guzmas would be bad.
It's all right. They're evening it out with their prize cards.
Yeah, fortunately for Corey, when you have those Guzmas in the prize cards, you're taking prizes fairly early, and Guzma is the card you want to see in the middle to late stages. So it looks like they're going to line up pretty perfectly with the way that he takes knockouts. I
mean, I just noticed while...
Oh, no.
Oh, that's not the opening supporter you're looking for is Greg. I was going to say, I saw his basics, and in his hand he was thinking about starting with Wimpod, not benching Wimpod. He's having quite a tough decision, and that comes down to the fact that his hand just really isn't great.
Yeah, of course, if you are going to bench Wimpod, you might as well start it. You could use Wimp out and just hide. But yeah, we see the Mallow, and that's not a card that you want to start with. It's very slow to just put cards on the top of your deck and hope that you don't get end, but I mean, if you're using Mallow this early, you probably do want to get end.
Yeah,
so might as well put it on top.
But I'm pretty sure Corey has one strategy here from his game, and it's not end first turn, it's Kiawe first turn.
That's
so
right.
I doubt we'll be seeing that end come out. But yeah, I mean, if this is his first turn, he can just get down 1 Zorua, 1 Wimpod. As Corey, you're probably looking to knock out that Zorua.
Yeah, and that's going to be pretty difficult on the first turn. You don't have any way to get too many energies onto the board unless, of course, you're using Max Elixir, and you'd have to find an interesting target for that card. You'd have to maybe even use Energy Drive and put a few energies down, but no energy on the Zorua, so he'd have to find 3 energies, and that's a lot of Max Elixirs.
Yeah, for sure. Especially when you start in your hand with 3, although I guess it does run 15 fire energy.
Right.
Maybe one of those times when that baby Volcanion is quite a good play. You can often just go be in the active spot, 1 energy attached, a few steam ups, and then you're knocking out basics. But evidently, this whole GX deck is working pretty well, given that we're into the top 32 players.
That's right. He just wants the Kiawe every time. Doesn't have time to knock out little Zoruas. He's aiming for the big boys, those big Zorg GXs.
And I wonder if he's thinking here, if he was going to go into Lele and just Kiawe the Lele and just apply pressure that way. But then he wouldn't be able to attack this turn.
Yeah, and it looks like Corey is eyeing up that Turtonator GX.
Yeah, start putting some energy on there. I don't know that his hand is amazing at this point.
Yeah, it looks like he's actually not going to have a turn 1 Kiawe, and instead discarding the fire energy very wisely. That means he's going to have extra energies when he does use his Turtonator's GX attack. He can get so many of these energies right back into play. and he did find another one. So we already see 3, now 4 energies can come into play, and it's like you Kiawe'd anyways.
Yeah, essentially. But didn't find many targets for that Nitro Tank GX other than, say, the Turtonator and that Ho-Oh, now that he's found with the Ultra Ball.
Yeah.
Can he get away with just having 2 Pokemon that are loaded up in this matchup?
I think he can. There's no real punish over from Greg's side. He has energy drives and he has riotous beatings. And if you're playing less Pokemon, that means Tapu Koko isn't as impactful, and it means you can't be surprised by a Mind Jack. So if he just tanks these up and then finds some mid-game Guzmas, I think we might see a lot more of what happened in the opening game.
Yeah, definitely. And isn't it bizarre to see a deck that's already maybe thrown away 7 energy and still hits a max elixir?
Yeah, he feels comfortable throwing away all those energies. He doesn't need them.
Are we going to see a Shell Trap here, possibly? Oh no, Nitro Tank GX, certainly, to load up that Ho-Oh GX, and maybe put an extra energy on Turtonator, as I don't think it's at risk of being knocked out this next turn.
Yeah, I would probably put 3 on a Ho-Oh, 1 on the Turtonator, and feel fairly safe there. Or he has Guzma and he thinks that... there you go. Okay. Thanks, Corey, for agreeing with me. I appreciate it, bud.
Both work, I think. Notably, there isn't a Volcanion EX in play, though, so he wouldn't be able to steam up and get a knockout in the Zoroark straight away.
Right.
Or he could find that Choice Band as well.
Yep, a few cards are live for him there. And Greg wisely decided to go with Zoroark on the top and then immediate trade into the Bridget. The way he set up his Mallow was very good for him. He's going to be able to get some of these Pokemon into play, but I don't know if he has the energy cards right now to get some pressure. We'll have to see what his hand holds.
Yeah, this is the turn 1 that he wanted, and unfortunately he got it on turn 2, which sometimes is a little bit too late.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not discounting Greg in this game yet. It's certainly only turn 2, and that Tapu Koko can put in a lot of work against that Ho-Oh GX. But yeah, probably Bridget on turn 1 is a little bit what you wanted to see.
Right, and well, we do see double colorless energy and a choice band, so that's pretty good. He's going to be able to do 130 damage, potentially 150 if he has another Pokemon. I don't think he has one, though.
Yeah, he's thinking about the Field Blower, I think, but decides that maybe the Float Zone isn't the best target to sort of waste that Field Blower on.
Yeah, I'm sure if he does see a card like Choice Band, he would like to remove that as well. So saving that Field Blower to remove 2 tools rather than just the 1.
Yeah, maximize your use of it, definitely. Corey now, thinking about...
Yeah, it looks like he was almost considering throwing away that Choice Band.
Yeah.
I would use that. Oh, no. I was rooting for you, and then you did that. Come on. That's the Sycamore, the no-hand Sycamore high 5. I thought it was gone. It's not. And wow, he found the perfect card. He found that switch. It's amongst all those other beautifully golden cards hiding.
And those two full art Kiawes that I think he's thinking, I should just Ultra Ball these away now because I don't have time to put Fire Energy on and then just end my turn. And that's what he does. He gets rid of those 2 full art Kiawes, Ultra Balls, probably for a Volcanion.
Yeah.
Just so he can use that Steam Up ability and get some extra damage down.
Definitely. If your opponent was holding a card like Field Blower, then now you have an answer for when that's removed.
Yeah, it's almost like a choice band that you can kind of use indefinitely.
Right. No, we do see that switch. It's going to come down. That means that Ho-Oh is going to come up and do 210 damage to this Zoroark GX. Perfect math. And that removes Greg's only real threat right now. And that's pretty scary to see on the second turn of the game.
Yeah, definitely.
7 energies.
Yeah. All on board, so 2 attackers ready to go, essentially. That Tapu Koko, though, this turn, if it is able to attack, I don't see many options in Greg's hand.
Yeah, double Field Blower, Golisopod, and a useless Acerola.
And no trades available to him, so...
Yeah, do you just promote Wimpod and try to buy a little more time?
Yeah, I think so. That Tapu Koko is such a valuable resource in this matchup. I don't think you can allow it to just sit at the active, get knocked out. Looks like he chose not to go for the choice band on the Ho-Oh.
Oh,
he passes over, leading the Tapu Koko. Tapu Koko would have been able to retreat. It does have a free retreat. So you could go into that Wimpod that you're potentially never going to get a Golisopod GX out, so it isn't so bad if it's knocked out. But yeah, leaves the Tapu Koko in the active.
Yep, this means that if Ho-Oh were to attack, he could just do a double Steam Up and do Sacred Fire, and it will do 110 damage to this Tapu Koko. And maybe that was what Greg was hoping for when he left this Tapu Koko in the active, was that Corey wouldn't find 2 fire energies. But there they are, and unfortunately for Greg, he's going to see the Tapu Koko fall.
Yeah, and that's Corey going down to 3 prizes there. Also takes the Guzma, so if there isn't a Pokemon that he likes to have in the active spot to knock out, now he has the chance to with that Guzma.
Right. Greg found the perfect card, though. He does find N. That means he's going to be able to get himself 6 cards, hopefully find a Zoroark for his sake. And interestingly enough, I think he decided not to play the other Field Blower. Removing that choice band would have probably been pretty impactful.
He's probably thinking that maybe a Floatstone coming down could be even better.
Yeah.
On that Ho-Oh, getting into the Turtonator GX or getting into another Pokemon that can attack with a high amount of damage after a Phoenix Burn. But yeah, either way, it could be a card that he sees again with this N and then thinks, I could have drawn something else.
Exactly. If that card was a Zoroark, perhaps, then oh, well, look at that. He found a bunch of Zoroarks, so that works out pretty well for him.
And a nice rescue stretcher as well that will get back that Tapu Koko.
Right. Looks like the one piece of the puzzle that's missing is no energy cards, so definitely going to have to start to trade into those if he does want to have any chance in this game. And Hand Hammer's not a card you want to see right now. And yeah, it looks like Rescue Stretcher. I don't know what else he really has in his discard pile. We've seen a lot of basics fall, but that one big Zoroark did fall, so I guess he could continue this trades.
Yeah, and hope to find those energies, or maybe another Puzzle of Time for the puzzle that he already has in his hand to get back that DCE, double colorless energy as well.
Yep.
But yeah, it's a bit, chooses to use the
solo.
Puzzle of Time instead. Seize a Puzzle of Time.
Yeah, well, it was the third one, so he wouldn't have seen it on the trade, so I guess that makes you feel a little bit better. But it's still sad to see.
So with this Rescue Stretcher, what does he grab back? Just a Zorua?
Yeah, I guess he does. He has the other Zoroark in hand, so he can try to trade into it. This also sets up for if Corey just plays too many Pokemon down, Mind Jack Zoroark can sneak through and take some big knockouts.
Yeah, probably the reason that, again, he didn't play down that Zoroark GX straight away. If one of these Zoras is going down, he wants the option to be able to choose that Mind Jack or that Zoroark GX.
Yeah. Also, evolving into Zoroark GX there in the active spot would have meant that Ho's going to get 2 more prize cards, and I don't think you can give Corey that many prizes.
Yeah, it might be a little bit too far ahead at that point. So that Enhanced Hammer is probably, in this one matchup, regretting having it in your deck.
Yeah.
Certainly something you want to be trading away at any opportunity.
Well, a very simple turn for Corey. Just going to take the knockout here on the Zorua. And now we're going to see the Zoroark start to come down into play. Does not opt to go with that Mind Jack Zoroark. Needs to draw a few more cards, and I guess the bench size isn't enough for Greg's liking, and that's a well-timed end, though.
Yeah, decides to end, doesn't decide to trade away the Enhanced Hammer. What do you think about the order of operations of using the trade ability and playing N?
Yeah, generally when you're playing N, I like to use the N first before you do your trades. This means that at the end or in the middle of your turn, you're looking at the most potential cards, which means you can make the best decision for yourself in that spot. Of course, Enhanced Hammer isn't a card that you want to see, but if you do happen to draw into it, just discard it with trade and you'll find something else.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to have to see what he's... Does find the energy, does find the double colorless energy, so he will be able to attack this turn, but looking at Ho-Oh, it can attack back for a lot of damage. In fact, straight 210 damage.
It certainly does a lot here, and I don't know if this Zoroark's going to be enough, but Greg's going to continue to fight on. He does 90 damage right now, which I don't see Zoroark do too often. Generally, there's a lot more Pokemon in play.
Typically, when you're declaring Rider Speeding.
Oh, and look at that. Guzma, that's going to just be the game. He can retreat his Turtonator and knock out that Zoroark GX with his Ho-Oh. A quick match for Corey, and he has to be feeling great here. This opening day for him, day 2, he has already won his first 3 matches.
Yeah, he was 28th seed going into today, and he's looking to make top 8. And what does he need now? Maybe 2 ties or a couple more maybe 1 more win and a tie, and he'll see that top 8, and he will represent Volcanion as we want.
I think a lot of players were